Welcome back, adventurers. Today we're diving headfirst into one of the most intense and thrilling aspects of Dungeons & Dragons, combat! This is where the dice hit the table, the spells start flying, and the swords clash.
That's right, combat in D&D isn't just about swinging of swords or blasting fireballs. It's about strategy, teamwork, and yes, luck. The thrill of rolling a natural 20, or let's face it, the heartbreak of a roll of a natural 1.
Now, if you're imagining that all that action is happening on a detailed battle map with miniatures, then you're using grid combat. Each square on the map represents 5 feet of movement, and you move your character across the board like a strategic game of chess.
But if your Dungeon Master prefers a more descriptive narrative approach, where everything happens in your head, welcome to Theater of the Mind. Instead of using a map, the DM describes the environment and the action, and you rely on imagination to picture the scene. No grid, just glorious mental visuals.
Both styles are awesome. It just depends on whether you like seeing everything laid out in front of you, or if you and your party prefer to let your imagination run wild. Either way, the battles are bound to be epic.
So how does combat work? It all starts with a little thing called initiative. When the battle begins, every participant rolls a d20 to determine the order of turns. The higher you roll, the faster you react. Just imagine whether you're a nimble rogue darting between enemies or a slow, heavily armored paladin, your initiative roll determines who goes first.
And if you're surprised, like a bunch of goblins jump out from behind some bushes, you might have disadvantage on that initiative roll. So if you were hoping to catch that fireball before it hit you, well, good luck with that.
Once initiative is sorted, combat moves in rounds. A round represents about 6 seconds in the game world. During each round, a player and enemy get a turn. On each turn, you can move a distance up to your speed and take an action. You can also interact with your environment, like opening a door, saying something like, "Duck!" But if you want to deliver a heroic speech, that's gonna take more time.
Actions are where the magic or the sword swinging really happens. You can attack, cast a spell, dodge, or even disengage to avoid getting hit. It's all about using your turn wisely. If you're feeling really fancy, some classes even get bonus actions to do more.
Let's talk about movement. You can move up to your speed, and that movement can be split before and after your action. So you could run up to an enemy, smack them with your warhammer, and then retreat, unless they hit you with an opportunity attack as you flee. Yep, if you leave an enemy's reach without disengaging, then they get a free shot at you.
Oh yeah. And also watch out for difficult terrain, like rubble, swampy ground, or even the bodies of fallen enemies. Moving through that slows you down, costing extra movement for each step, usually half. So if you're running through a field of caltrops, good luck with that.
All right, let's talk about attacks. When you attack, you roll a d20 to see if you hit. Your total needs to meet or beat the enemy's armor class, or AC. Think of AC as how hard it is to land a blow on them. Wearing heavy armor, you get a full high AC. Barely wearing anything, well, maybe you start dodging.
And if you're attacking from a distance, like with a bow, make sure the enemy isn't too close. Firing that bow with an orc breathing down your neck gives you disadvantage. Unless you're Legolas, then, you'll probably be fine anyway.
Now, let's say you land that hit. Awesome! What's next? It's time to roll damage. Each weapon has its own specific damage dice. Got a dagger? You're rolling a d4. Swinging a great axe? That's a hefty d12. And don't forget to add your modifiers to deal even more damage.
And sometimes, if the stars align and you roll that natural 20, you land a critical hit! That means you get to roll twice the damage. And there's nothing quite like rolling 2 handfuls of dice to really ruin that dragon's day.
Of course, not all attacks go smoothly. Some enemies take cover behind walls, trees, or even allies, making it harder to hit them. Cover gives bonuses to their AC, so you might have to get creative to land that blow.
And then there's saving throws. Some attacks or spells don't involve attack rolls at all. Instead, they force enemies to make a saving throw to avoid or reduce the damage. Cast a fireball? Enemy has to roll a dexterity saving throw to dodge the flames. And if they fail, well, it's time to roast some goblins.
We also need to talk about death saving throws because, well, sometimes things don't go as planned and your character ends up at 0 hit points. When that happens, you're not dead yet. You're just unconscious, clinging to life.
On your turn, roll a d20. If you get a 10 or higher, that's a success. But if you roll a 9 or lower, that's a failure. 3 successes mean you stabilize and cling to life. 3 failures? Well, it's time to start writing your next character.
And if you roll a natural 20, you're back up with 1 hit point, ready to jump right back into the action like the hero you are. But roll a natural 1, and that's 2 failures right off the bat. Talk about a nail biter.
I'll say. All right, enough theory. Let's show you what combat looks like in action, pun intended. We've got an epic battle lined up. Let's see if our adventurer over here can survive the onslaught. You find yourself in the dark, crumbling ruins of the ancient temple of Zetharius. The sound of dripping water echoes throughout the halls. As you step forward, the floor shifts slightly under your feet. Suddenly, with a bone-chilling rattle, 4 skeletons rise from the stone slabs around you, their hollow eyes glowing red with malice. Roll initiative, adventurer!
I got a 17!
The skeletons roll that's a 10. You're up first.
Okay, all right. I pull out my trusty glaive and charge to the nearest skeleton. I swing at it with all my might.
Roll to attack.
That's a 15.
That hits. Roll for damage.
That's 8 piercing damage.
Your polearm pierces through the brittle bones of the skeleton, sending its skull flying across the room. 1 down. You still got 3 to go.
Okay, I'll use the rest of my movement to step back a few feet just in case.
All right, good call. But you're still in range of the next skeleton.
Oh, no.
It shambles towards you, swinging a rusty sword. Let's see if that hits. That's a 14. Does that hit you?
My armor class is 16. Dodged it.
Okay, well, you're pretty lucky. But the next 2 skeletons still charge forward. But one trips over a broken pillar. And the last one swings at you. And that's natural 1.
Yes!
The skeleton stumbles also and drops its weapon as it clinks and click on the ground.
Whew, okay. My turn again. I'm gonna try something risky. Let's go for a Thunder Wave spell.
Ooh.
I raise my hand, calling forth a blast of thunderous energy to hit all of the skeletons. They need to make a Constitution saving throw.
Okay, so I gotta roll for both skeletons in this case. D20. Okay, so 2 fail and 1 just barely makes it. Roll for damage.
Oh, that's 10 thunder damage.
The skeletons that failed the saving throw are blasted into pieces. Their bones scatter. The bones scatter across. Thunder. Scatter across the floor. The one that succeeds stumbles backwards, but it's still standing. Barely.
I look at the last skeleton and say, "You're next."
The skeleton looks at you and goes, and it's the skeleton's turn. It lurches forward, bone shambling, swinging its sword with desperation. It rolls a 7. The attack glances off your armor harmlessly.
All right, time to finish this. I swing my glaive again, and that's a 19.
That's a hit. Roll for damage.
9 piercing damage.
With 1 final mighty swing, you shatter the skeleton. Its bones collapse into a pile at your feet, and the temple falls silent once more, leaving the ancient treasure up for grabs.
We did it! And that, my friends, is how you take down a room full of skeletons.
Exactly. Combat in D&D is all about using your abilities, thinking tactically, and sometimes just rolling with the punches, literally.
So remember, whether you're wielding a sword, casting a spell, or dodging a skeleton's rusty blade, combat in D&D is fast-paced, heart-pounding, dice-rolling adventure. Thank you so much for watching. Please remember to smite that like button, ring that notification bell, and leave a comment down below. We love engaging with all of you in the comment section. If you would like to support us, you can also go over to fanrolldice.com and type in the code GG10 at checkout. That's going to give you 10% off your order. They have some incredible dice and other various accoutrements for your D&D adventuring. And we're going to get a little bit of that kickback so that we can continue producing this awesome content for all of you adventurers out there.
And you can support us directly by pressing the join button on our channel homepage. You can become a Green Squire, a Green Lord, a Green Knight. You earn awesome perks and benefits like a little tag by your name and early access to videos such as this one. So we hope this helps you level up your game, and thank you very much for watching. Until the next video.